Y'all know how I switched my hair color over to Arctic Fox? Well, it turns out the owner of Arctic Fox is a really terrible person. So I have to switch freaking again. Cool. But anyways, let's talk about plateaus. One of the most disappointing things that can happen to you as a streamer is whenever you put a ton of time and energy and effort into your stream, and for some reason your viewership just doesn't grow. And this can happen at any stage in your career. You might get to affiliate and then stay at 3 viewers for months, or maybe you get up to 15 or 20 viewers and you're there for years, or maybe you hit 50 viewers and you're at that frustrating point where you just can't seem to hit partner no matter how hard you try. There are even examples of some relatively successful streamers who have 200, 250, 300 viewers who for some reason just can't push beyond the level that they're at. Also, big love to all of you partners who used to have hundreds of viewers and then now you're in the place where you have maybe 30 or 40. That's so frustrating to see that level of success for your stream and then to feel like you did something wrong and so you freaking lost it all. As human beings, we all want the effort that we put into something to equate to results. And so whenever we don't get those results, or worse, if we end up losing the results that we did have, it can put us into a really emotional and frustrated position. And I feel y'all so hard. As I've said many times on this channel, I streamed to 20 people for 4 years. It is so difficult to stream for so long and not understand why viewers just aren't coming to you. You start to think things like, am I really just not capable of growing my stream? Maybe people don't like me. Maybe I'm not meant for this. Maybe I'm just a failure at everything that I do. And as I've said, this can happen at any viewership level. So it's important that you know why plateaus happen and how you can potentially break through them in order to get yourself where you want to be as a streamer. So we're going to get into all of that, but real quick, Own3D is an amazing marketplace full of all the graphics that you need for your stream. They have alerts, panels, even emotes, which is wild, and you can actually buy a package that has already been created and get your graphics instantly. It works with every single stream. It's very, very easy integration. This is really good for those of you who are at the point where you maybe don't have the money or the traction yet to be able to hire a designer on your own, and you need something that's going to make you look just a little bit more professional versus the Canva graphics that you've probably been creating yourself. So if you haven't checked them out already, make sure that you do. There is a link for that below. What's up everyone, it's Ashley. I've been a stream coach for 2.5 years and a lot of my clients have come to me asking specifically for help with viewership. Of course, it seems like everyone on Twitch wants to grow their viewership, and I need to do a video about why growing your viewership is not all that it's cracked up to be. That will come at some point, but everyone's goal, it seems like, is to get more viewers, and a lot of you are stuck in that place where you just had a specific amount for such a long time that you don't know how to increase them and how to grow your stream to the next level. There are a lot of reasons that this could be happening. We're going to cover as many as we have time for today, but what I really want to get into is the Twitch hierarchy and helping you kind of identify where you land inside of it and knowing what level is above the level that you're at in order for you to get to that next level that you want to be in. As always, if you have any questions, you can come hang out with us in Discord at discord.gg/ashnichrist. So first off, like, what the heck, Ashley? What is a hierarchy? So imagine a pyramid that we use to rank people based on their status or their authority in the Twitch community. On this pyramid, people like Tim the Tatman, Dr. Lupo, and Lyric would be at the top, and then everyone who's sitting at like 0 viewers would be at the very bottom. So essentially, it's a way that we organize people based on their level of success in the industry. You can see an example of hierarchy if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is a really popular theory in psychology, which essentially lays out a path for you to reach your full potential. I feel like I should do a video over this because a lot of y'all are trying to reach this like massive level of self-esteem, but you don't have a ton of your belonging needs met. Anyways, this is like a whole thing. So what we're gonna do is organize streamers and streaming into this hierarchy, and we're gonna do it visually. Let's go to the laptop. All right, so let's say this is the hierarchy of Twitch streamers. So we've got the bottom section here, a middle section, and a top section, and these each all are gonna have their subsections, but just for simplicity's sake, we're just gonna go with 3 sections of this hierarchy. So this bottom section is where everyone who isn't partnered exists. So this is actually over here because I prepared ahead of time. This is 0 to 75 viewers. Someone who plateaus underneath 75 viewers, so this is everyone who hasn't gotten partnered yet, is struggling with a lot of really foundational stuff. So a plateau could happen for any of these reasons. One might be brand identity. So you might be questioning not just what your brand is there for and why it exists and who it's for, but also your own identity. If you're questioning your own place in the world and you're not really sure who you are yet, it's really difficult to create a brand that's going to be consistent enough to be able to see you through to you growing your viewers and getting to the next level. Now, that's not to say that everyone who has gotten partnered has completely figured out who they are and has completely figured out their brand. There are definitely examples of people who haven't gotten to that level, but this is a thing that could potentially be holding a lot of you back. You don't necessarily need it to get to the next level, but it is very important, and at some point you need to figure this out. So another could be audience. You're not sure who you're actually creating for. If that's something that you're struggling with, I made an entire like masterclass training for you that you can use to try and figure this out for yourself. Another thing you could be struggling with is value. So how do I create consistently valuable content that helps people, whether it entertains them or it educates them? We've got another video for you that's all about that one as well. So you might also be struggling with your community contribution, which is something that you could potentially figure out if you know your audience, your value, a bit more of your brand identity. Your community contribution is essentially what you do for the overall Twitch community. A lot of the people in the next level of this hierarchy have figured out exactly how they contribute to the community overall, and they've made a lot of contributions over a period of time that have helped them stand out and kind of get to the next level in this hierarchy system. You might be struggling with skill, so this might be skill with your gameplay or skill with just streaming itself. This is extremely foundational. If skill isn't something that you have right now, and let's say you're playing a game, right? You're positioning yourself in a directory where there are a lot of really highly skilled players of that specific game, or they're very knowledgeable people in that space. What you need to do is try to get yourself on the same level as those people, because people are coming to that game or to that directory to learn more about the game and to improve their own gameplay. And so that's a value that a lot of those people are giving. And if you can't give that value, it's going to make it really difficult for you to get on the same viewership level as those people. You don't necessarily have to have skill in order to get to that level. However, skill can absolutely help you. If you don't have skill with gameplay, you have to replace that with skill of either community engagement or development or skill or like a excess of knowledge in something. So once again, go watch that value video because we talk a lot more about how you can give more value in your streams, which is essentially the same as being skilled. Another thing that you could be struggling with here if you are plateauing 0 to 75 viewers is your content basics. So this could be like, how do you actually make a great stream? How do you do the intro portion of your stream? How do you really deliver value during it? How do you raid? How do you thank people for raids? How do you outro your stream? What types of events are you throwing? How are you getting involved with the rest of your community? What are you doing in your Discord channel? There are a lot of basics here, which we already talk about on this we already talk about on this YouTube channel, so make sure that you subscribe if you haven't already, because really mastering the basics is something that people who struggle with and plateau 0 to 75 viewers, like I said, are really struggling with. So I typically see someone who plateaus at 15 viewers, for example, as they're either inconsistent, or their microphone is horrible, or they don't know how to give value, or they don't know what their brand is. And these are all just those very basic things that go into you developing something to get you partnered and get you to the next level. And then the next could be, maybe you are struggling with social proof. This is something that we talk about a lot in Stream Coach Academy, because something that is actively working against you when you're a small streamer is that you lack social proof. There aren't a ton of viewers that are essentially telling everybody else, hey, this stream is good, you should come watch it too. There aren't people who are sharing you out on Twitter or talking about you in their own Discord. People aren't really sharing your content and talking about how valuable it is. And so you don't have a ton of social proof about who you are and what you do to get yourself to the next level. And social proof is really, really important, because when you're a smaller streamer like this, you're typically struggling with having to go door to door and like knock on those doors and get viewers. Social proof is a way for other people to get those viewers for you. So it's super important. Someone who has, 75 to 500 average viewers doesn't have the time to go out and create social proof for themselves. And they also don't have to, because their viewers are doing it for them. Another thing you could be struggling with is consistency. So this is one of the foundational things. Not every brand has this. Even some of the most successful brands on Twitch aren't necessarily consistent. They're not streaming 6 or 7 days a week like a lot of the largest broadcasters are, but they figured out their place with consistency, and they know what level of consistency they're able to achieve, and they don't kind of hold themselves accountable to a level of consistency that they can't deliver on. And then another thing you could be struggling with, of course, is quality. So do you have a nice microphone? Do you have a setup that's going to enable you to be able to do the things that you need to do to get to the next level? Because if all of your stuff looks bad and sounds bad, then people probably aren't going to stick around and watch you whenever everybody else looks and sounds really great. Once again, not to say that you absolutely need this, but if your microphone is just absolutely terrible to the point where no one is sitting around and wanting to watch you for a long period of time, it could potentially be an easy fix that you could make that could instantly grow your viewership. So a lot of this has to do with just the foundational tools that you need to grow in order to get yourself out of the plateau that you're experiencing if it's a 0 to 75 viewership plateau. For most of you, it's probably going to be learning your brand identity, value, and your audience. And so that's why we have those videos for you. If you haven't watched those already, that's really, really good. So that's everyone that's kind of in that smaller rung on Twitch. But then after you get out of that rung and you get over to the next one, what the heck is that experience like, right? This is the one that I was in for a long period of time. So this is 75 to, I want to say like, let's say like 1,000 average viewers. So the things that someone is struggling with here is things like awareness and creativity and brand evolution. Some others we'll get into in a minute. But essentially what you need to think about is that whenever you're on this bottom rung here, this green rung, it's actually relatively simple to stop plateaus that are happening here, because whenever you are competing within this bracket, you're competing with a lot of people who they don't know any of this stuff. They don't know skill, they don't know value, they don't know their brand identity, they have no idea about content basics. And so if you can really nail all of these things, you can get yourself to that next level with relative ease. That's not to say that getting partnered is super easy, because it definitely is difficult for a lot of people, but getting to this level, the second level from this first level in the hierarchy, is easy compared to getting to the second level to the third level. Because whenever you're on the second level, what you're doing is you're competing with a bunch of people who have already figured all of this stuff out, and they know who they are, they know what they're doing, and so their skill set is completely different versus the green level. And so that's what makes it so difficult to get to this purple level up here. These are our brand colors, by the way. Did you notice that? Yeah, I'm prepared. And so the reason that this is so difficult, like I said, is because you are competing with a bunch of people who already know what they're doing. And if you think standing out here is hard, standing out here is next to impossible. That's why the top percentage of Twitch is so small. 0.000000001%. These are the people with like tens of thousands of viewers. So whenever you get to blue level, what we're struggling with here is more awareness. Everyone is trying to look for, how can I get myself in front of more people? How can I get myself on more shows that can put me in front of more potential viewers for myself? They're thinking not just about creativity in general, but about long-term consistent creativity and how to create an experience for people that keeps them coming back over and over and over again. They're thinking about their brand and how it evolves over time and how they're going to diversify it and get on all of these other platforms, and not just get on them, but take them over as well. They're thinking about how to create content that people actually need consistently versus just creating content and how to create value, because they already know how to do that, but which value is right. And they're kind of looking ahead to, what are people looking for? What are people going to need in the next 6 months to 1 year that I can start delivering on now that's going to put me in a really great position? And they're also thinking about their long-term consistency. So how can I contribute to this community long-term, and how can I really stick with this? Because one of the things that a lot of small streamers struggle with is just consistency. It's, y'all give up so quickly on great ideas you have, or you have really huge emotional struggles with trying to get yourself to even accept that you can be someone who is great. And the thing is, the people who are at this level have already accepted, like, hey, I can be great, I can create really great stuff. So how do I do this long term now? But there's such an emotional struggle whenever you're in this level that a lot of getting yourself over to this middle step in this hierarchy is overcoming emotional internal problems, and it's not always strategic. So after we are in the second level of the hierarchy, then the next level that we go to is this third. And honestly, at this point, people already have massive levels of awareness, massive levels of collaboration, opportunities, sponsorships. I mean, everything that you're just pining so hard for whenever you're at the bottom level of the hierarchy, you have access to whenever you're at the top. And so the struggles at the top that I'm familiar with, that not personally in my brands, but in other people's brands that I've talked to, it's really like the struggles of fame and the amount of work that comes with it, the expectations that comes with it, the lack of trust you have in other people, the desire to do bigger and better things, the feeling of maybe having grown kind of beyond Twitch yet wanting to stick with it. There are a lot of emotional struggles that happen at the top level because all of these other needs are kind of already fulfilled. And so that's a very basic understanding of the hierarchy. For most people that are struggling and are plateauing around the 0 to 75 area, it's because of one of these really foundational tools. But the question is, okay, now that we know that these problems exist, what do we do? Like, how do we get out of this plateau that we're experiencing? Okay, let's actually go back to the normal view. All right, so how do we stop the plateau that we're experiencing now, or that we're going to experience in the future? All we have to do, it's very simple. Get better. If you plateaued somewhere in 0 to 75 viewers, you're probably missing a lot of the components that I outlined as common struggles for people at that viewership level. I wrote an ebook about my experience getting out of that level and getting to the next level in the hierarchy if you want to check that out. But essentially what you need to do is do things that you have never done before. This means figuring out your brand identity. What's your unique contribution that you can make to the community with your skill set, your personality, and all of the history of things that you've done in your life. Your goal should really be to master all of those foundational basics that keep coming up as struggles for you over and over again. If things are consistently coming into your life as a problem, that means that you haven't really solved that problem yet. And so you need to find solutions to the level that you're at and all of the problems that I've outlined in that green box. The reason that I had 20 viewers for 4 years wasn't because I wasn't trying or that I had nothing of value to offer. I just didn't know what it was and I didn't know how to do it. And that might be the same position that a lot of you are in right now. Just because you don't know exactly what you have to offer doesn't mean that you're never going to figure it out. But if you keep letting the same problems get in your way and stop you over and over and over again, how are you going to get to the next level with a completely different set of problems when you don't know how to fix the problems that you've been experiencing for weeks, months, if not years? Just like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you have to have solutions to one step in the hierarchy before you can move on to the next. And if you're a small streamer and you're stuck at 3 viewers consistently or 10 viewers, it doesn't mean that you suck and that you're not meant for streaming. It just means that there are a lot of improvements that you haven't made yet because you haven't learned a lot about streaming and building a brand. And there are people that have been streaming and doing this for 10 years. They have a decade on you. It is unfair for you to hold yourself to their level. And let's not forget, some people were just in the right place with the right content at the right time. They weren't really strategic about this. They didn't have to learn all of this stuff. And you're trying to hold yourself to the same level of accountability and success as those people. Unless you can recreate those exact same conditions, you're not going to get the exact same success that they had. And so that's why it's so important that you learn from this channel and other channels like this. I meant to say something else and other words came out of my mouth that were completely different from what I wanted. But the point is there, okay? You're small and you're learning, and that's okay. And there's no time limit on learning and executing on all of the things that you've learned. Some people have been streaming for years and years and years and still don't know as much as you know. Some people learn very quickly and are able to grow very fast. And some people have internal emotional struggles that are preventing them from being able to execute even though they know a ton. And that's why it's important for you to know not just strategy, but also how to work through your own emotions towards streaming and towards success in general. Because overcoming a plateau is not just about strategy. Sometimes it is an emotional problem as well. You getting to the next level in this hierarchy might come down to figuring out how to master anything in this list that I laid out here, but it might also be something completely different that I didn't talk about at all. And so another goal or challenge that I have for you isn't just learn strategy and learn how to work through your emotions, but it's also learn how to become self-aware, because the more honest that you can be with yourself and the more that you can view your content from the perspective of the viewers, the faster you are going to be able to work through any plateau or problem that comes up. And ultimately, I know this comes down to it's very difficult to be self-aware and to look at your content and be like, oh my gosh, this actually really sucks. So I made a video that's about how to know if you're meant for streaming or not. A lot of you are really loving this right now. That's essentially there to help you work through some of the negative emotions that might come from feeling like you're not a good streamer. So go ahead and check that one out if you haven't already. I'll see you over there. Bye.